Hello, Eric Boehlert.
Hey, good morning.
First question: what do you think of Steve Austin, Bionic Rescue Dog?
Oh, awesome! He's going to be gigantic. He's going to need his own house.
Yes. Right. I think he's younger than they thought he was, but his paws are enormous. So I'm like, oh, dear God. This is the 2 or 3 month old version?
The tail. The tail is the scary part.
Oh, dear God. Okay.
Say goodbye to your couch.
Yep.
Yes. So where do we start with just Fox News in general and the dangerous scientific misinformation? But you also wrote about it. It's every story. You said Tucker Carlson's NSA spying story gets dumber and dumber. There's no there. I was saying it earlier, Eric, when they go, oh, yeah, well, you guys were wrong about Russia. No, we weren't wrong about Russia. We were right about everything. And they continue. And Fox News continues to parrot Russian disinformation on COVID, on January 6th, right, on the election. They do not have Americans' best interests at heart, and neither does Fox News, right? And this is just more like, I think that's what Tucker's trying to get ahead of, right? Is that he was, as you write in your piece, that he was communicating with, that's why he got swept up by the NSA. They weren't spying on him. Right. It's because he's right. Go ahead. But yes.
They don't care about his dopey basic cable TV show.
Right.
But he decided he wanted an interview with Putin. And so he decides to start emailing, shady people in his orbit. That's not how Chris Wallace got an interview with Putin 2 years ago. That's not how Megyn Kelly got an interview. You go through the State Department, there are traditional channels. God only knows who's he talking to. And of course, if he's talking to Putin's circle, those communications are going to be read and monitored. I'm guessing those people never told him, by the way, everything you're emailing and texting us is being read by the NSA, until after the fact. He freaked out. We don't know what he told those people. And, there's certainly a possibility he's trying to get in front of the story. Look, the whole thing makes no sense. He's been claiming for 2 weeks, the NSA leaked his emails to journalists. And he claims to know. One of these journalists called him and told him, they have his emails. So who's the journalist? And why would any journalist, as this story spreads, not come forward and say, oh, I have the emails. Yeah, this is a big story. He's just, he's a pathological liar. And frankly, it's why Fox News itself refuses to touch this story. Not one of their reporters. This would be the biggest story in 20 years if the NSA was spying on a Fox News journalist. Nobody over in that building believes it. And it's all gibberish. And to your Fauci point, your clip over the weekend, yeah, of course, people are at CPAC or it's an applause line when someone says, Biden isn't going to reach his vaccination goal. 16 months ago, I said, Fox News is going to get, we don't know how many people Fox News is going to get killed during the pandemic. And so, of course, during the vaccination, real quick, Mitch McConnell last week said, I don't understand why people won't get vaccinated. Tucker Carlson tells people the vaccine will kill you. And Mitch McConnell doesn't understand why conservatives don't want to get vaccinated. Yeah. So, of course, Fox News is getting people killed. Trump got tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people killed. And as you point out, guess who benefits from all this? The Kremlin, of course.
Yeah. Well, and here's Dr. Fauci again, by the way, reacting to this nonsense at CPAC.
It's a public health issue. It doesn't matter who you are. The virus doesn't know whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent. For sure, we know that. And yet there is that divide of people wanting to get vaccinated and not wanting to get vaccinated, which is really unfortunate because it's losing lives.
Yeah. Okay. And we have to do a Jen Psaki bomb on this as well.
The failure to provide accurate public health information, including the efficacy of vaccines and the accessibility of them to people across the country, including South Carolina, is literally killing people. So maybe they should consider that.
Yeah.
And the thing here, this isn't, there is vaccine hesitancy. I think that would probably be 8, 9, 10% of the country. We're not dealing with vaccine hesitancy. We're dealing with a coordinated, global, $1 million propaganda campaign telling people not to get vaccinated because it'll help Joe Biden. I mean, this is the ultimate. This
Yeah.
is the ultimate. If it's good for Biden, then it's bad for red state America. And if these people are willing to die or whatever, that's their choice.
Yeah. Well, Ted tweeted, everyone at Fox had to get vaccinated before they were allowed back in the studio. They ain't working from home anymore. So yeah, all those people on air telling their viewers the vaccine is dangerous have definitely been vaccinated.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, and Eric, we have this conversation all the time, but to me, that is fire in a crowded theater. That's the line that Fox crosses. I'm not, as someone in radio for a bazillion years, I'm not for cancel culture or boycotting or any of that. But this to me crosses a line where they are getting people killed. It is dangerous scientific. More important than it's dangerous scientific information, they know it, right? I mean, that's the more egregious part.
Yeah, we've never had a public health crisis where we have a cable news channel trying to make the public health crisis work. And look, you and I both understand there is no line. No line exists for Fox News. It drives me crazy when I'm on Twitter, particularly blue check Twitter. People say, "Oh gosh, how does the Murdoch family sleep at night? When is Rupert Murdoch going to, finally turn this around?" There was this ridiculous essay last week by someone who worked for Murdoch for 20 years saying, "I spent the last 9 months trying to explain to him the poison that Fox News is doing to America." Are you kidding me? Rupert Murdoch couldn't care less. None of these people stay up at night. They're awful, awful people. They're dangerous. I was making fun of the New York Times. They have a front page story this morning about how Fox News is anti-vaccine. It's like, oh, really? Wow, that's amazing. Nothing gets by the New York Times. Fox News has been anti-vaccine since 24 hours after the vaccine arrived in December. We are heading to August, and it took 8 months for the mainstream media to say, gee, boy, Fox News is being slightly irresponsible here. And that ties into the piece I just posted this morning where, the next big lie, which is, the insurrection never happened. Yeah. This is what, Tucker Carlson last week said the insurrection was a bunch of old people, a bunch of grandparents marching around with signs. This is like Kremlin-style brainwashing on a level that's even hard to describe.
Eric, that's right. As many years as we've been talking about that, I just thought of that yesterday. I thought this is a new, just more disturbing gaslighting level where I just wake up going, this is so disturbing that it is just right that January 6th didn't happen. Trump won the election. The COVID vaccine is dangerous and you shouldn't take it. And it's, it's just things that are so antithetical to, not just the public health, but just truth, facts, reality. Yeah. I mean, it's, go ahead.
In early 2017, I wrote a column at Media Matters about how Trump was adopting Kremlin-style propaganda. And everything you just mentioned, insurrection didn't happen, the election was stolen, this vaccine will kill you. I don't care if people say, oh, you shouldn't talk about Russia. Oh, this is all, I don't know if it's done in collusion with the Kremlin, but this is their playbook. This is the playbook Putin has used. You just described the fog of unknowability. The point is to create so much chaos and so much question. We don't know what the facts, or not you and I, but the general public doesn't understand what the facts are. Well, maybe January 6th didn't happen. Well, maybe it was, a false flag. And so this is just every major topic that the country faces. It's all gaslighting. It's all propaganda. It's all brainwashing. We've never seen anything like this in American politics. This country's been around for going on 250 years. And the press doesn't have the language to describe what the Republican Party is doing now.
That's what it is, Eric. It's the thing we've been talking about and you focus on so brilliantly all the time is I just feel like, as usual, the mainstream media is not up to this moment we're in. You just CNN, you said former President Donald Trump's false election claims persist at a conservative gathering. You said, spoiler alert, they're not false election claims, they're lies, right? Mm-hmm. And you say July 2021, people are still doing this. The New York Times, you talked about scratching around for bad news Dem stories. I mean, it's I just in terms of like losing our democracy, where is the press? But really reporting on what's actually happening.
Right. Yesterday, Trump goes to CPAC. He says, the insurrection didn't happen. That same day, New York Times posted this long theater criticism about how Biden's speeches have too many facts in them and they're boring. And it's just like, wow, that's quite a contrast. But, this is what they want to do. They want to return to normal where it's, all we have to do are count the number of times a Democratic president says me or I in a speech and turn that into a story, or talk about how, Democrats are so nerdy and wonky and wow, this is interesting. The context is missing. The context is missing. Trump and the Republicans are trying to eviscerate our democracy, overturn elections, gaslight everything, brainwash millions of people. And the New York Times is upset because Biden's speeches are kind of boring. I mean, it's just a complete
I say it all
away of the responsibility.
I say it all the time that he's boring, but
and we love it.
I mean it in a good way.
Yes, the best way possible.
Something else boring and competent he did. Okay.
There's a reason he won by 8 million votes. People want boring and competent.
Yep.
Thank you. Yes, and finally, I was going to say not all Republicans are awful, but it does seem like a lot of awful people turn out to be Republicans. You tweeted about this. South Dakota AG claims his crash victim wanted to die. He hit the victim, drove off, left him to die on the side of the road because he thought he hit a deer. He's now claiming the victim was asking for it. You just said, what an awful, awful person. I mean,
This was an amazing story, and I followed it when it happened. It was last winter. This a Republican attorney general was actually at like this Trump event fundraiser, drives home. We don't know how many drinks he has. It's South Dakota, it's rural, whatever. He hits this guy who is trying to fix his truck on the side of the road, drives off, leave the guy's dead. Then he's a couple hours later, he shows up at the sheriff's house and says, gee, I think I hit a deer. If you hit a deer, you don't go to the sheriff's house.
Right.
They both go back in the middle of the night. Turns out they hit this guy. And now he's in court. He's in filing. He says he wants this victim's psychological records because he thinks he was actually trying to get hit in the middle of the night.
Oh God. Okay.
I mean, and this is a Republican state attorney general, and he might even get away with it out there. Who knows? But you're right. A lot of awful people turn out to be Republicans.
Yeah. Oh, I love the guy in, who is it, Sean? Missouri. Greetens, the guy that assaulted the reporter and still got elected. Apparently he's...
Oh, yeah.
Right. So Kimberly Guilfoyle, is his new campaign manager? But Trump's mad about that because he doesn't like Greetens, so he's somebody even worse than him.
Right.
So assaulting a reporter, good, but not Trumpy enough, apparently. So...
It's hard to keep track.
I know, exactly. Eric, thank you. You are my sanity.